My confidence to win, it's gonna be a big battle.
Berlin, June 19th, Steffi Graf Stadium. A 21-year-old wild card from the Philippines is serving for a place in the semifinals against the world number 8. Fast forward 5 weeks. Washington, D.C. A different surface, a different continent, a different tournament seeding. Elina Svitolina is now the number 2 seed at the Mubadala Citi DC Open. Alex Eala, ranked 28th in the world, walks onto the court to face her again. Same 2 people. Same quarterfinal round. Everything else has changed. Between those 2 matches, the tennis world quietly rearranged itself for round 1 name. Eala did not simply win in Berlin. She won 6-3, 6-4 in straight sets. Then she went to Wimbledon, took a set off Iga Swiatek in an 11-9 tiebreak, and ran her off the court in the second. In the last 3 days in Washington, she has taken out an Olympic champion and the tournament's defending champion in the same week. 5 weeks. That is all it has been. And Elina Svitolina, standing on the other side of the net tonight, has to solve her all over again. Here are the numbers that set the frame. Eala is currently WTA number 28, a career high, up from around 56 in mid-June. Svitolina is number 10 in the world, the number 2 seed of this tournament, a 2-time Grand Slam semifinalist with an Olympic bronze medal and a Rome title from May of this year. They have played once in their careers. Alex Eala won. What we are about to examine is not a coronation, and it is not yet a rivalry. One match does not make a rivalry. What it is a turning point captured in real time, and it is worth paying attention to while it is still happening. Let us be fair to what Svitolina brings into this quarterfinal, because the story does not work if we make her small. She is one of the most decorated active players in women's tennis. 2 Grand Slam semifinals. A Paris Olympic bronze in 2024. Less than 3 months ago, she lifted the trophy at the Internazionale Biennale d'Italia in Rome, the biggest clay title outside of Roland Garros. She came back from maternity leave, climbed back into the top 10, and stayed there. At age 31, she is not a player anyone on tour takes lightly. On the specific question of surface, hard courts have historically suited her. Grass is not her preferred canvas. Berlin, in other words, was the match Svitolina would want to play again on paper. Washington gives her exactly that chance. But the honest picture cuts both ways. Svitolina's win over Paulina Kudermetova on Thursday night, 7-6 in a tiebreak and then 6-4, was her first match victory in over a month, since June 23rd in Bad Homburg. Kudermetova served for the first set twice and had a set point at 6-5 before Svitolina saved it with a backhand passing shot. This is a veteran finding her footing again on hard courts after a rough patch, and she was clear-eyed about it afterward. "I was trying to be locked in," she said. "First match, hard courts, everything is new." That is not fear. It is not regret. It is a professional resetting her expectations in public. What it does mean, though, is that the Svitolina walking into this quarterfinal is not the same player who lifted the trophy in Rome. The momentum sits with the 21-year-old across the net. On paper, Svitolina still holds every historical advantage. In the last 5 weeks, none of those advantages have translated into results against Eala. That is the tension. That is the honest read of the matchup. And it is the frame we will hold while we look at how she actually got here. Start with the Berlin scoreline itself. 6-3, 6-4 on grass over a world number 8. Straight sets. The underlying numbers back the result up. Eala had a first serve percentage of 69 to Svitolina's 62. She won the return battle 13-9 on first serves and 21-9 on second. She broke Svitolina in the 8th game to close out the first set. In the second, she was up 5-2 before Svitolina refused to go quietly and pulled it back to 5-4. Eala served it out anyway. That is a match where a player did not just get lucky. She out-executed a top 10 opponent on the metrics that do not lie. It was her 6th top 10 win of her career and, per ESPN's reporting, her first back-to-back top 10 wins since Miami 2025. That is the scoreline. But scorelines do not tell you what a player learned about herself in the process of putting one up on the board. Because 2 weeks later at Wimbledon, in the 3rd round, Alex Eala walked out onto court 1 against Iga Swiatek, the world number 1, the defending Wimbledon champion of that year, one of the best players of her generation. And Eala took her to a 7-6 tiebreak in the first set, 11 points to 9, and then won the second set 6-2. It is worth stating that plainly. Between the two Svitolina meetings we are talking about, Alex Eala took down IGA Swiatek at Wimbledon. If Berlin was the shock, that was the confirmation. That was the answer to every question you might have wanted to ask about whether the Svitolina win was a one-off. Swiatek is not a player anyone runs off a Grand Slam court in the second set by accident. Now, the turning point story does not work without the setback, so let us put it in. In the fourth round of Wimbledon, Jasmine Paolini beat Alex Eala 4-6, 6-4, 6-3. Paolini is a former Roland Garros finalist and a former Wimbledon finalist. It was a loss, and it ended one of the most historic Grand Slam runs any Filipina player has ever had. This is the moment where the shape of the story either becomes a good week or becomes a career shift, because what she did next tells you which one it was. 3 weeks. That is the window between the Paolini loss at Wimbledon and Alex Eala's first-round match in Washington against Zheng Qinwen, the 2024 Olympic gold medalist, entering as a wild card. Eala lost the opening set 4-6. She was down a break in the second. She won the third set 6-1. That is a match she had every reason to lose, and she did not. Then in the second round, she drew Leylah Fernandez, the defending Washington champion, the number 7 seed, a former US Open finalist. And this is where the emotional climax of the last week sits, because Eala was down 5-1 in the second set. Fernandez was 2 games from forcing a decider. Eala reeled off 6 games in a row. She broke back at 5-5 with what the WTA's own match report called a defensive rally of the highest quality, a forehand winner off a punishing exchange, standing in and refusing to lose it. She won the tiebreak 7-1. 2 defending champions in 2 consecutive tournaments. First at Wimbledon, and now Fernandez in Washington. Both dethroned. Here is what she said afterward in her own words, and it is worth quoting because it tells you what she is now built out of. I know that she was playing a little better, and maybe my level dropped a little bit. Those are very tricky moments when you know your level has dropped and you want to do better, but things for one reason or another just aren't coming out. I think patience was key there. Just trying to work it out and a strong mentality in terms of trying to find solutions. That is the sentence. Patience. Finding solutions. That is the exact quality Elina Svitolina has to face across the net in this quarterfinal, and she knows it. Here is what Svitolina herself has said on the record, published by the WTA on the eve of the rematch. It was not an easy battle for me, she said of the Berlin loss. On the rematch, tomorrow is a new surface, new country, a new city. So it's a new challenge, and hopefully I'm going to draw some confidence from today's match and carry it into tomorrow. That is the honest voice of a top 10 player recalibrating. It is not the voice of somebody underestimating anyone. Svitolina is, by every professional standard, treating Alex Eala as the threat she has become. And that itself is worth registering. 12 months ago, Eala was a wild card, losing the Eastbourne final to Maya Joint in a 3-set decider. Today, Elina Svitolina, world number 10, Rome champion, Olympic bronze medalist, is publicly hoping to draw confidence from a first-round tune-up in order to face her. The room has changed. The people who cover this player closely, including the team around her that has included work with Tony Nadal in Mallorca, the same Tony Nadal who helped build one of the greatest careers in tennis history, have watched this shift happen game by game. But you do not need a coaching endorsement to see what the last 5 weeks say. You just need to read Svitolina's own words back slowly and hear what a veteran sounds like when she is preparing carefully for somebody who did not, until very recently, warrant careful preparation. The stakes on this quarterfinal are worth naming clearly. If Alex Eala wins, she plays the winner of Naomi Osaka and Elisabetta Cocciaretto in the semifinal on Saturday. That would be her first WTA 500 hardcourt semifinal. It would push her ranking further into territory no Filipino player has ever occupied. She is already at number 28, the highest-ranked Filipino singles player in WTA history, up from around 56 less than 7 weeks ago. A semifinal here begins to affect US Open seeding. It changes which side of the draw she lands on. It changes the caliber of opponent she faces in the first week of a Grand Slam. These are not abstract stakes. They are the concrete infrastructure of a career being built in public. And back in Manila, this match is being broadcast at 6:30 in the morning local time, which means kids getting ready for school, parents making breakfast, whole households turning the television toward Washington, D.C., before the sun is properly up. On Reddit, on the tennis subreddit thread after her Berlin win, one of the top comments simply read, "Alex belongs here. Eala. I really think she had a mindset change." That is a fan sentiment, not a fact. But it captures something that the results are now backing up. And the WTA's own official Instagram has taken to calling her, in its match graphics, the Eala Express. That is not a nickname a governing body attaches to a player it considers a curiosity. It is a nickname it attaches to a player it expects to be around for a while. The vulnerability in this story is real, and it is not buried. Wimbledon ended in a loss. She was up in the fourth round, and Paolini took it back from her in 3 sets. Less than 14 months before this Washington quarterfinal, she was standing on a grass court in Eastbourne watching Maya joint save for championship points against her to take the title. That is not ancient history. That is the same player. And what has changed verifiably in that window is not the level of adversity she faces. It is the way she metabolizes it. Down a set to Zheng. Down 5-1 to Fernandez. Down at every point on the ledger against Swiatek before winning that tiebreak 11-9. The pattern is not accidental anymore. It is a feature. It is the sentence she said out loud after the Fernandez match. Patience, mentality, finding solutions, arriving as a habit before it arrives as a headline. So here is where we land. And here is the room Alex Eala is now in. 5 weeks ago, she beat Elina Svitolina 6-3, 6-4 on grass in Berlin. Between then and now, she took a set off the world number 1 at Wimbledon, dethroned 2 defending champions in 2 tournaments, one of them the most recent Wimbledon champion herself, and moved from world number 56 to world number 28. Tonight, or in a few hours depending on where you are watching from, she gets a chance to make her head-to-head against a top 10 Ukrainian legend 2-0. She may win it. She may not. That is honest. 1 match is not a pattern, and 2 would only begin 1. But look at who is now around her. Naomi Osaka on the other side of this draw. Swiatek and Fernandez behind her in the last 2 tournaments. Svitolina preparing carefully, publicly, for the rematch. Tony Nadal in her corner. WTA graphics calling her by a nickname. 6:30 in the morning in Manila. And a country watching. That is the room. It is not the room she was in a year ago. It is not the room she was in 5 weeks ago. It is the one she is in right now. And however this quarterfinal ends, that room does not unform. Turning points, when you catch them while they are happening, look exactly like this. Patience, mentality, finding solutions, and the number across from her name on the draw sheet ticking upward 1 tournament at a time. If you are watching this before the match, watch it live. If you are watching after, you already know how it went. And either way, remember what you saw, because 5 weeks from now, this is going to look like the middle of a longer story. And it is the kind of story where you are going to want to say you were there for the turn. Hit like, hit subscribe, and stay with us on Tennis Diaries. The road from here runs through Toronto next week and then at the end of August through New York.